Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review Part 25. This one is discussing one of my personal favorite arcs of the series, Amazon Lily, which cover episodes 408 to 417. Yep, just 10 episodes. Yeah, believe it or not, the last few episodes that are kind of considered part of this arc have nothing really much to do with Amazon Lily. It's mostly put just adapting a cover story, which I'll get to that. Now, my original plan was to cover this one, the Boss Luffy arc, but I didn't want to kill my momentum by basically doing a side story before I continue on. I'm basically going to do that once I get past the post-war saga. That's basically what I'm going to do. Because at that point, there are only about 3 story arcs left to do the review for, and that's pretty much it at that point. This arc pretty much covers these following chapters. Chapters 514 to 524. I forgot to mention this, that Sabo Acapello covers chapters 490 to 513. Now, this is mostly all focused on Luffy, because with the Strides end up, I'll reveal that in part 26, with the friend separation stuff. Episode starts off with Luffy flying away from the Sabaody, ending up on what he does not know at this point, Amazon Lily. And he just wanders around, and then we see the debut of the character Margaret. Yep, her and her group of people. Now, they do come across Luffy. This is, of course, after Luffy had pretty much killed the beast, cooked it, eat it, and then he came across a bunch of mushrooms he kept eating like crazy until he came across a parasitic mushroom where he got covered with mushrooms. So they find him, and he's got mushrooms on his chest, his arms, there's a couple growing out of his mouth. Yeah. So they take him to get taken care of. They don't know this is the guy. Yeah, apparently these ladies have never seen a man before. Like, one of them has. Yeah, they've never seen a man before. They know what a man is. They've never seen one before. So they proceed to remove all the mushrooms, and then they proceed to burn the areas the mushrooms grew from, which does hurt Luffy. And then they decide to clean him. And I wonder, like, what is this between his legs? Yeah, pretty much what they're doing is that they're pulling Luffy's groin. And then when Boa Hancock's predecessor comes in, the granny, she's like, oh no, that's a man, not a woman. And then Luffy's locked up while he's covered in bandages and he's completely naked. Wow, it's like so dumb. Yeah, and then he wakes up in the cell, and this is so hilarious. Yeah, and if you're a female viewer, you probably love seeing Luffy's butt. Yep, because Luffy's butt gets a good amount of screen time in one episode. A good 5-minute appearance. You get a chance to see Luffy's rear end. And the girls basically all seeing Luffy, and they're like, what is that? And he says, that's my family jewels. He just referred to us as treasure. And I was like, can you take them off and hand us? We would like to examine them. He's like, no, you want me to die? Yes, any man probably would feel that way if their groin was removed. Their livelihood. And he's like, oh, that's my hat. And of course, he stretches. Of course, these 11 ladies all think men all stretch. And they think this up until they say goodbye to Luffy post time skip, which is so strange for them. And then they kind of get angry because they won't give him food, so they proceed to just bust out. Of course, after they give him clothes, he apparently doesn't like also the vest he's got, so he breaks out, uses his special gum axe and busts the roof. Gets no problem, of course, jump across rooftops across the village. And he's like, oh, crap, where's my Viva card? And then he proceeds to take Margaret with him. And she proceeds to like, hey, did you find a piece of paper on my clothes? Like, sure, here it is. And you do one thing for me, can't you remove this girly stuff? Yeah, and he's like, if I show up look like this, they will laugh at me, which any guy will feel that way if they come with basically that. Oh, I forgot to mention this when I talk about Thriller Bark and Salve Archipelago. Apparently, Luffy is have Walker with his shirt open. Now, I should point out though, in the past 2 arcs, he is wearing a blue vest. Yeah, for some reason he stopped wearing his red vest, the vest he's wearing since the start of the series. Yep, the red vest is gone, and during events of Thriller Bark, he wore an orange vest, but still had the blue pants. Though it's kind of strange, and I think they switched him out for like a dark color pants, and then they kind of changed to here, where it's kind of like I think it's like a blue vest, but he buttoned up his shirt this time. Now, my personal theory of why that he had a shirt unbuttoned throughout a couple story arcs, and it's just my theory in the matter. I think the reason why that was done for him is because Oda was teasing that's what he probably wear his shirt like post time skip. And Zoro was doing the same thing, where he basically stopped wearing the white t-shirt he wore since the start of the series. Yes, he said to switch out for this red and white striped shirt that makes him think he's part of the barbershop quartet. Also, Usopp wears t-shirts. Yeah, it's like during the Salve Archipelago, it's like everybody pretty much like, with the exception of Brook and Chopper, everybody wears different outfits than when they first showed up in. Yeah, Nami and Robin are notorious for changing their outfits every story arc. Though Nami kind of stops doing that once time skip happens because for like 3 straight story arcs she's wearing the same exact outfit. I'll be discussing more about that when I talk about Return to Sabaody. So, of course, Luffy gets stuff removed from him, and of course he needs a boat. Of course, he wants to see Boa Hancock, and then all of a sudden the other ladies show up, and they also reveal why the arrow is so strong, basically destroying a wall. It turns out they embowel these arrows with Haki. Yep. First time even though he technically has heard it before, he doesn't remember. He also doesn't say, he apparently doesn't tell them that he has Deathroot powers, the fact he's a famous pirate. Yeah, apparently he doesn't get much info for some reason. It's kind of weird, to say the least. And then he does something completely unexpected, like, oh, it must be a high person. Like, let's go check out that place first. And he lands on the roof of this place, and it turns out this is Boa Hancock's palace. Boa Hancock, mind you, shows up, and you first see her behind a curtain on her ship, and then we see the Mohawk guy who was last seen in Ennie's lobby. I think his name is Marquise. I think his name is. Yeah, Mohawk, port mustache, and here's the thing. The Kaiju Pirate's actually impressed by how gutsy the man is by pretty much slicing and dicing his Sea King from the inside. Yeah, and an X-shaped mark on his belly. And we all see that his sword is bloodied from this. And they actually bother to show a flashback of him killing a Sea King. And here's the thing. He's a Vice Admiral. But here's the strange thing. He has no Deathroot powers. Yeah, he's one of 2 I can think of who is an Admiral who actually has no Deathroot powers. The other, of course, being Garp. Yeah, he's the only other one. So he tells Hancock, "Call me. We need to go to Marine headquarters." Like, nah, I'm gonna keep I'm not gonna fight for you. I'm not going to fight Whitebeard. So I'll keep my title as warlord. And he's like, and then she proceeds to tell the men, "Hey, can you give me your supplies, please?" And then she proceeds to alter all the stone, with the exception of the Admiral. And he says, "I'll wait here for 2 days for you to change your mind. If not, I'll strip you of your title." It's like, do as you wish. And of course, then she proceeds to, after she sees how much of an arrogant woman she is by kicking a cat. And so they give her a jewel, very shiny, very nice looking jewel. Proceeds to toss it away. And then we see that you see a statue made by children. And despite the fact that it does look like her, basically the outfit she's currently wearing, it's actually a pretty good looking statue from my perspective. and she proceeds to break it and has the Behemoth trashed. All because it's made of mud. Yep, despite the fact this is made by children, she disrespects it. And apparently, she's allowed to get whatever the heck she wants because she's beautiful, so everyone will forgive me because I'm smoking hot. That's basically her perspective. And it's like, I think I'll take a bath now. It's like, okay, bath time! Put the banners up! Yes, they apparently do this a lot. Whenever she takes a bath because she has to hide her Gorgon mark, aka her not really Gorgon mark, it's a mark coming for her past. And then Luffy falls in her bathtub and he sees her like, I recognize that mark on your back. He recognizes, I've seen it before. She's like, you saw it? He's like, yeah. Take him to the execution and run away. Okay. And of course he's tied up. Well, not exactly run away, but he runs away. Then he thinks, oh yeah, he doesn't know that particularly is Hancock. And eventually he's captured. And then he's brought to the execution arena. It looks like he's about to be executed. But Margaret steps in and says she admits she robbed the city. And then she and her two friends are turned to stone. Basically a giant woman and a woman who's chubby. Luffy doesn't like her much. And then he is forced to battle a giant black tiger, where he proceeds to one punch the damn thing, throw it right out of the ring and right into the frickin' stands. Hancock is like, "Urgh, sisters, kill him." Yep. And then they start fighting. It's like, and it turns out the whole Gorgon thing is actually just a ruse because they have different powers. So you got powers like me. Yeah, we have a thing. And they fight back and forth. Show that the Sarosi, the one with the green hair, yeah, she has observation hockey, believe it or not. Yep, that's observation hockey. Also, she can make her hair like she's frickin' Medusa, the 8-hand attack. Or her sister basically making her hair like very deadly. At one point, Luffy stops so he can move. So finding like move the statues. Though they do bring up Margaret back up, and about the Smasher, and then Luffy unleashes something he never knew he had. I think it was a hint at this in the previous arc where he intimidated Bull. He unleashed color. Well, they call it the color, the Conqueror's Hockey, basically the color of the Supreme King. And he proceeds to knock out half the warriors in the stadium who have been insulting him. Of course. Yep, and then he's like, oh yeah, time to get more serious. No cracks, good. And then he proceeds to go to Gear 2, which does do damage to the two sisters. And then one of them basically has her hair set on fire and sets Saracen on fire too. Burns her top, and Luffy basically knows that they want to keep this mark a secret. That's on their back. Luffy proceeds to, because he's rubber, covers the mark on her back, because her back is exposed. It's like, oh, knock him out. It's like, Saracen, he's the only thing keep your back basically being exposed. Despite the fact she's also showing off her chest. I get the fact they want to hide the mark, but I guess they're women. They probably don't care to show off their chest. Yep, so Luffy proceeds to keep covered Saracen's back while everybody evacuates the stadium because she's about to be exposed to her Gorgon back. And apparently off screen, she apparently okay, let's go inside. Okay. And then Saracen basically apparently takes time to put her top on, and she sits next to Luffy. I thought this was quite nice. And she shows off the fact her mark is similar to the Sun Pirates. Yes, we get a bit of an explanation of them here, like the first mentioning of them. But the thing is, we don't get the full backstory until Fishman Island. We get a little bit more expansion of it there. This is basically set up for that. Where it reveals that both Hancock and her sisters were in fact captain of the Kaiju Pirates. And then they were abducted and sold as slaves to Celestial Dragons. And they got marked 8 Devil powers, the ones they got. They were their slaves for 4 years until Fisher Tiger showed up and freed the slaves. He didn't care. He wanted to free his own fellow fisherman, but even though he hated humans, that's what she said, he did anyways. He didn't like the fact these were slaves, so he basically just freed them. The reason why he did this is actually I explained to the fisherman now, and they explain a lot more in Fisher Tiger's backstory in that particular arc. And then they escape, and it turns out that the granny actually was one who helped them get back to Amazon Lily. But they don't reveal who actually was one who led them to her. That's not revealed until post-war, believe it or not. So Luffy agrees to keep the mark a secret. Also, he's like, because I think he's eating food. He's like, because all the battle, like, okay. He's like, oh, you took your clothes off again, and she's like, how very astute of you. Yep, and they said throw a banquet in his honor. And the sisters would not be joining us to eat the banquet hall. And the girl is like, why is he eating? Of course, they all wear like regular casual wear. It looks like it's like a shirt that basically kind of like is open. That looks like casual wear. And Luffy just has a lot of fun. Eats a bunch of food. Does the whole chopstick thing. Does some dancing. And then the girls apparently behind his back start a business of paying 20 gold pieces to touch him. And he didn't like it very much. Look up Margaret helped him get away. So he did take one big piece of meat. So they hit out of the granny's house. And she also had gotten a paper. Now, first she's basically been told, like, yeah, unfortunately, you should go. And then Hancock just throws her out. Well, look up, she's still a Caillou Wharf, despite being an old lady. Yeah. Now, Hancock, after Luffy admits that she doesn't hate him for being a former slave, he's like, I think I like you. And also, she is informed about Luffy did in the last arc where he punched a celestial dragon. And he's like, does the paper mention what that bastard did? The reason why I did that? Yeah. Yeah. And Luffy has like, yeah, I have no regrets doing that. If I had a chance, I would do it again. Yeah, that's something he would brag about, punching a celestial dragon. Like, keeping a secret about what happened to Gakamori, he has no problem with that, but bragging about punching a celestial warlord who rightfully deserved it? Yeah. And of course, she also reveals that he's the famous pirate Monkey D. Luffy. And they read paper more. Of course, they also see pictures of Blackbeard in there. They also show off Buggy the Clown. There's also another paper. They did show off that Water 7, that Iceberg is hiring a new secretary. Well, because Kyla turned out to be a government agent. We don't really see that here, but that was from the previous paper. And it reveals why. Now, Luffy finds out in this arc of the reason why, like, what's going with Ace. He's going to be executed. They hear rumbling about the Whitebeard will like fight with Whitebeard, but that's speculation. But with Ace being executed, yeah. Now they actually set this up back in the previous arc of the series, where the pirates actually had the paper why there's very little Marines on Sab Odi because they're going to be executing the Fire Fist Ace. So Luffy makes like first request is basically think about the sub acapello, and then he basically after hearing this is like changes his mind. It's like, can you take me to Impel Down so I can bring up my brother? And she's like, okay. Now they also do prior to this, she apparently gotten sick. It's a love sickness. Like if she's away from her man, she will die. Wow, this is just an over-exaggeration of how women basically feel when they are in love. I don't know if Oda thinks that's how they think about love, is that love actually slowly kills them. Yeah, Hancock's easily in love with Luffy, so she basically agrees right away to taking the Impel Down while she goes to Marineford. And then she contacts the Mohawk Admiral. It's like, okay, I'll agree to go with you. In exchange, of course, I'll mention it. Could we make a quick pit stop at Impel Down so I can meet Fire Fist Ace? He's like, that's no problem. And then she goes on the ship with Luffy inside of her clothes. And then, of course, well, Luffy, like, sneezing and his stomach rumbling. Is like, I'll make sure to get you some food later. Like, okay. And like, before you go inside, could you please turn my men back normal? He's like, and she does. And they go off in the cabin. Meanwhile, though, at Marine headquarters, Son Goku is like, wow, we got 6 or 7 warlords, and the 7th warlord is not very helpful. And they mention all the ones who are there, which are Hawkeye Mihawk, Botham Akuma, Doflamingo, Blackbeard, Boa Hancock. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, even Gecko Moria. And they mention one that's acting out there, so he basically is in the same cell as Ace. The last episode ends with Garp going to visit Ace in his cell, and of course the 7th Warlord is in the very same cell. There's more about this later, but wow, great set of episodes, and great setup for both Impel Down and Marineford. Marineford, for a lot of people who watch One Piece, probably consider Marineford for the first half of the series be one of the best arcs of the entire series. I do agree with that, but I'll discuss more about that when I get to Marineford. But the next review for this series, we'll be discussing the Friend Separation series, which is only about 4 episodes. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. My next review of Comic Corner. Yep. But until you see you in the next video, which will be Comic Corner. Bye.